Hello everyone, I'm Captain Courageous and I review old school modules and games and try to give them a fun and informative analysis. This week I'm turning my Wayback Machine to 1982 to review U2 Danger at Dunwater. This module was recently updated for the 5th edition of the game as part of Wizards of the Coast Ghosts of Salt Marsh release, and is a continuation of the storyline began in U1, the sinister secret of Salt Marsh. Packed with action and mystery, the U series is a classic of the 1st edition era of Dungeons & Dragons. Let's go ahead and pull open the covers on this one and discover why. Spoiler warning, and for this series, the spoilers really will significantly ruin your enjoyment of the module if you plan on playing in it. If you're a player and your DM isn't already planning on running this series, guide your DM here. Suffice to say, you have been warned. Let's begin. Released in 1982 as the follow-up to the classic module The Sinister Secret of Salt Marsh, written by Dave J. Brown along with UK Managing Director Don Turnbull. Don Turnbull was of course the editor for the Fiend Folio, and the module also makes great use of a lot of the monsters from that venerable tome. This module takes the classic dungeon trope of clearing out a monster's lair and neatly turns it on its head while continuing the storyline began in U1. And I did a complete review of that module, so I'm not going to revisit that here. Just follow the link above and come back after you've already watched it. Okay, back with me? Great. So, at the end of U1, having destroyed the secret smuggler's ring and learned that a heretofore unknown lizard man's lair is only a few miles away from the fishing village of Salt Marsh, and those lizard men are buying and stockpiling weapons in preparation for some sort of conflict, the town council is immediately alarmed, worried that the conflict the lizard men are planning is a preemptive attack on the village. The player characters are tapped once again, now to investigate the lair and deal with the problem. So far, this module would appear to be a straight-up adventure of invade the monster lair and slaughter the monsters, which was quite common during the era of the game. However, like the module before it, this is all a setup subverting expectation and obfuscating the true threat to the lizard men and potentially Salt Marsh. The lizard men were recently displaced by a growing army of Sahuagin and are building up arms in order to retake their traditional lands, not to invade Salt Marsh. The lair they are currently occupying is actually one they abandoned long ago when the civilization of men came too close. So, like the Sinister Secret of Salt Marsh, this is actually a mystery of sorts, and the module does a great job of cleverly dropping clues along the way that this is the case, and certainly this will challenge the skill of the Dungeon Master as the DM walks the line of allowing the player characters to figure things out on their own without just knocking them over the head with a giveaway clue. How successful the DM here is will depend on the kind of group that is playing through the adventure. The lizard men are building alliances with other races. There are Coatoa, a race of aquatic hobgoblins called the Coalinith, and mermen. The aquatic elves are not asked to be part of this alliance as the lizard men are worried about a conflict with the Coatoa who despise the elves. Now, I've mentioned in the past that one of my pet peeves with older modules was that the gist and key plot elements of the adventure are frequently buried in a room entry somewhere in the dungeon. Brown provides a great module plot summary here, but not at the beginning, but in the appendix, which is fine, but really this should be one of the first things the DM reads as it's key to understanding what's happening in the adventure. The Dunwater Stronghold of the Lizard Men is a classic and challenging site-based adventure, and the DM's challenge here is to let the story develop organically and let the clues as to the true intentions of the Lizard Men play out as they explore the Stronghold, which, as you can see here, is quite vast and very detailed. Ideally, the whole thing is revealed once the players reach the room and pools of the various visiting emissaries. Once the real nature of the lizard men is known, then things get a bit dicey, especially if the heroes have killed many of the tribe due to their incursion into the lair. However, The chieftain knows his tribe's survival is balanced on the edge of a knife and will seek to avoid further conflict if possible. However, the heroes will have to return any treasure they've accumulated in the lair thus far, and will have to pay in gold for each of the tribe they've killed to that point, and this might be where negotiations break down with some groups, especially if they are of the murder hobo variety. Fortunately, the module does throw the DM a few meat-filled bones to allow things to progress amicably. First, the module encourages the DM to award experience points for treasure found, even if they return it to the lizard men, even double experience points, due to the role-playing aspect of the situation and being able to negotiate with the chieftain. Further, there's a great side quest adventure, that of a giant crocodile residing in the swamp that has made living and hunting in the area quite hazardous for the lizardmen. If the heroes can put an end to that threat, then the chieftain will waive the compensation fee for tribe losses. The crocodile itself has become a menace to the lizardmen due to the fact that it is being controlled by a panlung, an oriental dragon. That will certainly be a surprise to the player characters and serves as a great final boss battle to conclude the module. Afterwards, the heroes can return to Salt Marsh with lizardmen emissaries in tow, and the alliance with the town can be formalized by the council, and then on to U3, the final enemy. Also, prior to entering the lair of the lizardmen, there are a few choice encounters in the swamp that can provide some decent treasure and magical items they won't have to return. If the players choose the oversea route, you might want to throw in an encounter with pirates, remnants of the smuggler's ring seeking revenge on the player characters for destroying their operation in the previous module. There is a ton of good things here, and the author Dave J. Brown provides the DM with a lot of alternative options and out to keep things moving and steering the action to a conclusion that leads to the final module in the series. This is your thinking person's hack and slash adventure. The town of Salt Marsh is still not detailed, but Mike Schley's version from the recent release of The Ghosts of Salt Marsh from Wizards of the Coast for the 5th edition of the game is available on his website for only $2.25. The artwork for this module is simply phenomenal. The front and back cover art is by Dave DeLue, with interior art by Jim Holloway, Harry Quinn, and Tim Truman. All outstanding artists from TSR's new crop of artists of that era. For me, I find Tim Truman's pieces especially evocative and striking, as you can see here, but it's all pretty darn good. Getting a copy of this outstanding module is very easy. My search on eBay turned up quite a few modules for sale, ranging in price from $20 to $50, and it seems like you can get a quality copy for a reasonable price, but I suggest caution, as I've seen several of the print-on-demand copies on sale there for around $20, which you can acquire yourself from Drive-Thru RPG at a much lower price. Drive-Thru RPG is offering the module as a PDF for $5, but the PDF and print-on-demand is only $7.50, which is quite good. I have the POD version of this module myself, and I took a few pictures to share with you. As you can see, it looks great. The map in the back is very usable in play, so unless you're a collector, this is a great way to get your hands on this classic module. So let's go ahead and take a look at U2, Danger at Dunwater, on my D20 scale of style, presentation, and value. The style here is your classic 1980s trade dress, but this is a 1982 release, and the production values here reflect the transition that was taking place with the company at the time, with a new, very talented crop of artists and a precise layout that makes great use of its 30 pages. I'll rate this an 18. The presentation here is outstanding as well. Dave Brown provides the DM with all the necessary information to run the adventure successfully and points out some of the possible pitfalls, and then follows that up with great solutions. Everything here is organized and professional, and the adventure offers plenty of opportunities for action and role-playing. My nitpicks here are minor. The plot summary should have been in the front of the module rather than in the appendix, and there's still not a comprehensive map of the town of Saltmarsh included. It's expected that the DM will make that up themselves. And I found it slightly unclear where the second entrance E was matching up on the dungeon map. The letter designations on the map are buried in the text descriptions rather than being headers for a section, which I found confusing considering how organized everything else is. I'll rate the presentation here a 16. Value-wise, this is really a no-brainer. At only $7.50 for the print on demand, the play value here offers many sessions for satisfying overall story arcs, and this is one that you'll run many times with different groups over the years. This is sure to be a winner for your players, so I'll give this a value rating of 20. It is a critical hit. That brings my overall rating for Danger at Dunwater to an 18. Very good. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you found this review informative and useful. Coming up next week, I'm going to finish up my coverage of the U series with U3, The Final Enemy, and then I'm going to review the OSR game that started it all, Osric, the old school reference and index compilation. As usual, I'd like to give a big shout out to all my wonderful patrons. Your continued support makes these videos possible. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. And a big shout out to my Patreon supporters in the Hall of Fame who have been with me and supported me for quite some time. If you enjoyed this old school mods review, please help support the channel by giving it a like, comment, and share. Follow me on Twitter and join the channel's Facebook page, Dungeons & Dragons RPG Reviews. Consider supporting the channel and more content like this by becoming a patron yourself. Or alternatively, you can just leave a tip in my PayPal tip jar. Links for everything is in the description. And as always, my friends, may your D20 roll true and game on.